guys, Willie and Murfitt here. Welcome back to part 3 of the 1979 Mini Clubman Saloon head gasket replacement job. Okay, so in the previous episode, I managed to get the car to this point. Now, the carburetor, exhaust, everything is back on the car. I had a few hiccups and parts I had to order. Some parts I didn't have to order, but I have, just to make sure that everything is running fine and it will be going great for obviously the future years. So, I've had a delivery here from DSN. Part of this I did need, which was the rocker cover bolts. So I've gone for black, like the rocker cover itself, and these are going to replace the standard studs. These are in fact slightly longer than the standard ones as well, and I think that's going to hopefully stop the issue of destroying the boots underneath. So if you can compare the two together, you can see that there's a significant difference in the height of those. So fantastic there. That can go back in the box. Next up, because I went for the DSN heater tap when I was doing the car first time round, when I removed the thermostat was powder coated. Unfortunately, when I tried to remove it and try to remove the old gasket, it's got a bit pitted and it's got a bit not very good, let's say. So, next up is the Retro Sport DSN thermostat housing. So that is going to replace the powder coated one. I'm pretty happy that the whole top part of the engine then will be all new and fresh. And whilst I was there, I got the last bit of the package, which was, if I can find it, pretty stuck in there. These are the top mounts for the radiator. So it comes with new bushes, a nice black anodized cap, and Allen key bolts, just to try and make the whole engine bay look pretty neat and tidy. These bits here were more of a nicety than a must-have. Admittedly, I could have got the things a little bit cheaper, but I really like the DSN products and I think it will really look smart in this engine bay. So, look at they're going to get fitted. The other part was I replaced the dashpot and the oil. The other part that I did on the previous filming for this episode was I replaced the dashpot and I also replaced the air filter for this carburetor. Now, having now spoken to Gareth over at That Green Mini, the carburetor that was on his 1100 was actually recently rebuilt. It was tuned within the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, and yeah, that's pretty much a brand new or reconditioned carburetor. So this one's going to get taken back off. I'm going to fit that one on. At least then I know that it's going to be a new carburetor with new jets, new springs, everything's all toleranced up, and basically it should, in theory, run because we haven't adjusted any of the settings. The only thing that it may differ slightly is this is obviously a 998 and his was an 1100, so just a slightly increased capacity, so it may dump a little bit more fuel in it. I believe he said it's got an AAK needle on it, but once I get rolling loaded or once I get this car tuned, that can be swapped out quite easily. So, let's talk more action. hopefully you can see that is a little bit better. It's not perfect, but I'm not really going for perfect at the moment. I can probably clean it when it's on the car a little bit better. So let's see the light up. So this is the carburetor I'm going to use. As I say, it's got all new jets underneath. It's all been rebuilt. The only thing that he did say was the gasket for the fuel float leaked. So I've got a new gasket, and let's get this all built up and back on the car. Another new part I'm going to install is a new accelerator cable, because the old one, I can work out whereabouts it was. It's on here. This is the end of the cable, which obviously is pretty frayed compared to what it should look like. So yeah, that's going to be changed. So I've disconnected it from the pedal. And connect it back up again. Okay, so the accelerator cable's now on. That's working absolutely great. The choke cable is also on, and the retaining clip's there. The carburetor is all installed. So now it's time to turn my attention to the rocker shaft, or the rocker cover, the rockers underneath, and the thermostat. I think first of all, I will do the rockers. So a slight change of plan. The belt is so unbelievably loose. I'm going to remove the thermostat to start with, so then I can get better access to turn the pulley at the bottom. Okay, so for this job I'm going to need a screwdriver to adjust the tappets up and down. I'm going to need a 1/2 inch spanner to release the locking nut from the tappet, and I'm also going to need my feeler gauges, and as I said, previously set at 12 thou. So yeah, you can see there it says 0, 12. Feeler gauges is to set the gap between the rocker and the valve. So 12 thou is pretty much your standard setting you use, unless you have slightly modified engine, and then therefore your rockers may have a slightly different tolerance. In this one here though, it's a standard rockers, standard engine, so we're going to this. So what I want to do is work in what you call a rule of 9. Now the rule of 9 is, if I'm working on adjusting number 1, I then add the numbers to get to the number 9, therefore 8. So make sure 8 is fully depressed, and then number 1 will be on the rock. I can continue to work through the line of valves, so 1 and 8, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, 4 and 5, 5 and 4, and so on and so forth. Therefore, anything that adds up to the number 9 is the one you adjust. So I want to make sure that the number 8 valve is at the lowest point, so you can still a little bit of slip on there, but let's just go full rotation. So you can see the valves all working in sync. And here we go. So the number 8 valve is now going down. Okay, so that is at its lowest point. That's fully depressed, and therefore number 1 should be on the rock. So taking my 12th thou feeler gauge, I can put it in, and basically I want to check to make sure there's resistance between the top of the valve and the bottom of the rocker. There's a lot of room in there, so if I try and look and see what gapping that is, if I start with a 20, 21, and there's still room. I can go to the other side of my feeler gauges now then and say, right, let's see how we are looking. Right, 26 thou has got resistance, but there's probably a little bit more room. So it's not great, but what it means is that could actually be causing the misfire, because the gapping is too far, and therefore when it's trying to do your compression cycle, your suck, squeeze, bang and blow, this is not working right. So we'll adjust this to 12 thou. Firstly, cracking off the locking nut, putting my 12 thou feeler gauges in, and using the screw to, if you go clockwise it adjusts it down, and counterclockwise lifts that up, so you've got a bigger gap. So that's now trapped that gap in place. I'll make sure that as I can put it in and out, there is resistance and it's touching the side. I would suggest that that is absolutely spot on. It's not too tight, but there is resistance top and bottom. So holding the spanner in place and then locking that off. I'm sorry, holding the screwdriver in place and locking that off. So when it's tight, it's going to make sure that there is still the same amount of resistance there. Which, yes, there is. So I can fully then make sure that's locked off once I find my screwdriver. Right, that is the rocker adjustment done. To make sure that all these are now nipped up, because I don't want any of these bolts coming loose or nuts coming loose. And we are good to fill it with oil and fire this car up. So that's all DSN top nuts, DSN thermostat, DSN top radiator cups. I'm really liking how this is all looking. So, next up, oil. And I think at some point I might look to upgrade this cap. Moment of truth. Right, so I'm super happy with how this has all turned out. It needs to be cleaned up inside here a little bit because it's a bit tatty and a bit shabby, unfortunately. But I'm super happy. It's running, so there's no sign of any misfire at this time, which is fantastic. I've got to get the coolant put in. I've got to torque down the cylinder head back up and yeah, try again. So unfortunately, I can't take it for a test drive because although the car is insured and MOT'd, there's currently no tax on the vehicle. As of the 1st of April, this car will become tax exempt, and to be honest, I'm too tight to put some insurance or put some tax on it. So it's going to sit here until then. What I'm going to do is I'm going to book it in with the Rolling Road and the carb tuner, and hopefully he can get this car running absolutely spot on and like a dream. But yeah, overall, very happy. So I'm going to put some coolant in now, and then I'm going to just tidy up in here. You don't need to put the coolant in because it takes about 4 and a bit litres of a mix of antifreeze and water. That gets put in there, it's run up to temperature, bled, cap off, making sure it's all running through, top it up as I go along, and yeah, job's a good one, as they say. But I'll leave this video here, so if you have enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot to me. Just want to say thank you to all the subscribers thus far. If you have enjoyed it, please give that thumbs up, comment down below, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.